favourite time of the week, I'm sure it's yours too, as we talk to Megyn Kelly, host of the Megyn Kelly Show in the United States. 2 weeks to go. Now, I thought Kamala was all about joy and vibes, but the actual closing message is more like Biden in a pantsuit. Basically, Trump is evil, Trump is awful, and she's taking out on the road Dick Cheney's daughter. This doesn't look like the team that's winning, does it?
Yes, of course, it's all turned. Forget the joy. Now it's all negative about Trump. And parading Liz Cheney out there, they really want to get the Liz Cheney Republicans. Well, you did. Liz Cheney and her dad, Dick Cheney. Those are the Liz Cheney Republicans. The list does not go on past those two. So you can parade Liz Cheney around all you want to all these, road stops and rallies. They're convincing no one. That's not persuasive. So then her other goal is reportedly to get Nikki Haley Republicans, to get those, say, 20% in the primaries who voted for Nikki Haley and did not vote for Trump. Those people do not loathe Trump when it's a Trump-Kamala Harris race. They preferred a more neocon version of conservatism, and they might have preferred someone who was less dramatic and controversial than Trump. But that does not bring you as a Republican into Kamala Harris territory. They're just pretending that it does. The problem for them is there's no more Democratic base to stimulate. The men have fled. All they're left with is effete men who don't mind being cast as beta, asparagus, kale-eating Barack Obama types. And all the alphas have left for the Republican Party because they've been shamed for the fact that they are men, never mind white men, never mind white men who might actually have jobs and be traditional and want to get married. So they've fled the party, and now they're trying to run those numbers up with the women, but there's only so far those numbers can go. Not all women are lefties. There are many women who are more conservative. They're going to vote Trump, and so they've hit this wall. They can't get black men. They can't get Hispanic men. So they're circling the wagons, doing whatever they can, but it's literally down to like Liz Cheney and Nikki Haley Republicans, which is a either very small or non-gettable pool for her.
Now, a bit of a theme in tonight's show is not to be defeatist, but to explain when two things can happen. Meaning, yes, despite the fact that it all looks like it's going Trump's way, and we'd all like it to go Trump's way, those of us that are having this conversation or watching us on the telly, reality is we could wake up and Harris ends up winning. So let's have the chat before that might happen. What can you see that maybe isn't as obvious to everyone else if she does win about how she's winning?
No, it's a good question because you don't want to be surprised, and we could be because it's so tight. Notwithstanding the fact that Trump's leading in all those polls, it's by a little. It's tight. Yeah, I'll tell you what I think it is. First of all the people I talk to who are on the ground trying to get people out to vote on Team Trump and are, really running herd on that in several states are telling me the same thing. 50-50. It's 50-50. We need everyone to get out. Everyone. So they're not breathing a sigh of relief at all. No one's getting back to me with, he's running away with it. And even I've talked to top pollsters who are more on the inside than they are the out, who say the same thing. They don't say he's losing. They don't say he's going to lose. They say it couldn't be any tighter. And they're, nervous, not because they think he's going to lose, but because it's too tight for comfort. So that's one thing. Secondly, there is a real question about whether they did fix the polls. They overpolled Dems back in 2016. That's why we had these huge margins for Hillary Clinton when we all found out later Trump won, because they were oversampling Dems, and in particular, oversampling college-educated Dems, which is entirely a Dem group, right? Demo. Those are not Trump's bands or his voters. So then they thought they fixed it in 2020, but, those polls were wrong, too. They had Joe Biden way up. I mean, Joe Biden did not win by those margins I just read to you, 7.8, 7.5. It was tight. It was very tight. As you know, he won by about 40,000 votes in the swing states. So they may have done a little better, but they weren't fixed. And then they said, well, yeah, by 2022, they had removed the over-inclusion of Dem-inclined voters. And that's why we had a predicted red wave that never materialized, because they fixed the polls by 2022 to factor in more Republican voters. But we can't rely on that because Trump was not on the ballot. And Trump, as the world knows, is a very unique force. And Trump without Now, a ballot without Trump is an entirely different animal than a ballot with Trump. So that's one of the things that makes this whole thing unsteady and unknowable. Like, we're going to find out on the week of November 5th whether they really have fixed the polls this time or if they've overcorrected the polls this time. And having said all that, let me give you one other fact. The one poll that they said was the most accurate poll of 2020, the most accurate poll of 2020 is Atlas Intel. And they just released their latest poll. And it shows Trump with a 2.7 percentage point lead over Harris on national level. That's 0.7 percentage points outside their margin of error, which is 2. And when you add in the full field, like a third-party candidates, it's Trump up 3.4 percentage points. And it has Trump with a 9-point lead over independents, over Kamala Harris when it comes to independents. It also has Trump up 1.2 percentage point in Michigan, up 3 in Pennsylvania, up 2 in Georgia, up 0.6 in Arizona, up 0.3 in Nevada, and it has Harris up 2 and 1 in North Carolina and Wisconsin, respectively. So that's Trump leading in 5, let me say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 7 swing states. That's very good news for Trump. That's the most accurate poll last time around. So look, it could go either way, Paul, and get out the vote efforts are going to have so much to do. They're saying the get out the vote effort could be worth 3 points to her. Well, if he's up 3.4 and the margin of error is 2, you can subtract 2 from that. So maybe he's up 1.4 and get out the vote is worth 3 for her on election day. Yeah, this could still go her way, and it could go her way not easily, but kind of big time if you add on 3 percentage points to all of those swing states.
We love you, Megyn. Her show, The Megyn Kelly Show, can be heard live on SiriusXM, on podcast, or, of course, on YouTube. We'll see you next week.
Oh, always a pleasure, Paul. See you next week.